And so maybe we'll, like I said, I maybe in a few weeks I'll like to do it again, or pick up where we left off, kind of thing. But for right now, I feel like maybe take a little time off, and we'll see. I got everybody's email, and if anybody's really feeling that need or that itch, reach out to me.
Yeah,
I'm here for everybody.
yeah. In 4 weeks, where are they now? And they're
Yeah.
gonna just no,
Yeah.
Right.
no.
So I'm gonna get into the screen share, and I'm gonna get into the notes then. All right, we good? Everybody see me? Magnetizing. So we're at the fourth chapter, right? Magnetizing what you want. And the first three chapters, everything, are a big part of magnetizing. And you think about a magnet, right? A magnet's just pulling things to itself, right? And that we're always magnetizing. I've said that before, and it even said that. I was reading the chapter today. I hadn't had a chance to read it until today. I had to go over it and get the notes from it. But it said the same thing in today's chapter, that we're constantly drawing things to us. We're constantly magnetizing, whether we are unconsciously aware of it or consciously aware of it or not. But the more it says, drawing objects, forms, and money and people you want into your life is easier when you work with energy and magnetism before you take action. Creating energy is done by getting quiet and relax, and then bringing images, symbols, and pictures of what you want into your mind. Magnetizing what you want requires generating a magnetic force to draw things to you. You work with energy and magnetism all the time, though usually not consciously. You can learn to consciously work with energy and magnetism to amplify the power of your thoughts and create what you're picturing. A few, I don't know whose phone that is. What is that at? Sorry, my son's left his computer on, so I guess he gets called from his computers. But where was I? A few moments of energy work combined with magnetism, um, done with a sense of clarity about what you want, can create greater results than hours of hard work. And that's the thing, when you really get clear about what you want and you put in a little time to get, to that energy work, it just comes about much faster and simpler. Things just come together in a much faster, simpler way. You're sending out energy at a broadcast level all the time. We're constantly broadcasting to the universe, our fears, our anxieties, all that kind of stuff. This broadcast may be attracting or repelling the things you want. You start magnetizing what you want by working with your energy, right? Learning to relax, focus, visualize, and use your imagination. Magnetizing involves generating a magnetic field. The image of a magnetic coil is used to help visualize and feel this magnetism. And you see like a coil coming from, your navel, and just coming out, wounding outwards. And then you can like play, as you get into it, you'll play with the coil and getting it just the right size that feels comfortable. And so creativity, inventiveness, playfulness, spontaneous imagination are the best tools when creating with energy. Every time you do the following magnetism exercises, you will notice that you have different thoughts, ideas, and feelings. Manifestation is a dynamic process. It's going to change every time. Every time it's going to feel different. Sometimes you're going to get that strong feeling. Sometimes it's going to be, different. And different ideas and thoughts are constantly going to come and play. But the feeling of magnetism is more important than any of the steps. Again, it talks about feeling. You got to feel the energy. The more sensitive we become to the energy, the more we build this connection to feeling this energy of, you feel the magnet, like yourself as a magnet. When you draw that coil and you start sending the energy out, you feel that magnetic force pulling. And so just getting that feeling is more important than any of these steps that we're going to go over today. And then we have the affirmation, I am increasingly magnetic to money, prosperity, and abundance. So here's the basic principles. It's best if you know how what you're asking for will be a tool for whatever higher quality you want to express more frequently in your life. So we talked a lot about that, about the higher qualities of life, and what would a large sum of income or whatever it is, what would that feeling generate? What would that higher quality generate? More peace, more security, more trust, more faith, whatever that is. As you magnetize something, think of the quality you want to express more frequently in your life. And the other thing with magnetizing is you can just magnetize the quality itself. It doesn't have to be about a thing. It doesn't have to be about a form. It doesn't have to be about money. It could be about magnetizing, greater faith, greater confidence, greater trust, whatever your thing is. It's helpful to magnetize the essence of feature or features. James was talking about the features of the house. He was very clear on these features. Like these features was very attractive, and I'd be willing to move for these type of features. That's the essence, and features. The essence or the features or what you want as the specific form. You can also use a symbol if you don't know the specific form. Now, later in the book, it talks about discovering your life's path or something like that. And they have an exercise, a meditation in there, and where you evoke a symbol of your life's path, and you place that symbol on a mountaintop, and you journey towards that mountaintop, and you become one with that symbol. And later on in this chapter, it talks about the power of symbols, that symbols sometimes can be really powerful because they bypass, our fears and our past thinking and beliefs. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. Ask for whatever you want and even more. Learn to stretch whatever you're thinking about. If you're thinking about, seeing 10 clients a week or whatever, think about the energy of doing 20 clients, Love and intend what you intend to have, what you're asking for. Really believe that what you're asking for is possible. It's important to, and this is the last one of these basic principles. It's important not to need what you're calling to you, but rather have a certain detachment about it. You ever notice that, like when you walk into a store and the salesperson is really needy, even if you want what they have to offer, their neediness pushes you away. Even if you're like, this is what I want to buy, but the sense of that the neediness is always something that pushes things away. And the same thing with magnetism, that sense of neediness, like I have to have this, I'm needy, I'm insufficient without it. It pushes away because to want is to not have, basically, right? That's the vibration in meditation, the vibration that you're putting out. So that last part about detachment, so surrender and release and let go. Let it be all right if it doesn't come to you, or if it comes to you in a different form than what you expect. After you've asked for something, surrender to whatever comes as being appropriate. When you magnetize something, there will be a point at which you suddenly feel it coming to you. Now, when you get that sense when you're magnetizing, you're feeling that something coming to you. It may feel as though there's a click. You get a certain time where you're sending energy out, and the energy builds, and then all of a sudden, the energy starts to recede or lessen. That's when you know the magnetizing is complete in the exercise. You can stop magnetizing. If there's no click or you don't get that feeling of, um, fullness, if you don't feel closer to having it, magnetize again until you feel an inner sense that the energy has shifted. You have the ability to know when your magnetism is working. So you'll get a sense of like what the right level is too. Your inner knowing is developed over time through observation and awareness of the process and through the feedback of the results you produce. As you practice, sometimes you'll want to magnetize several times. Other times, once will be enough. So sometimes for certain things, it might be a continuous practice. That's why in the last time when we did the magnetizing exercise, at the end, we asked, how often should I magnetize? So you get the direct guidance of like, okay, I need to do this more often. I need to do this 3 times a day. I need to do this 1 time a day. Or you know what, I'm good. I did it once and I feel sufficient. I feel like whatever it is, it's already here, it's coming, and I'm good. I can move forward. Letting go of the struggle. And, the common saying is the struggle is real. So I'm here to say the struggle is not real. It's an illusion. We create the struggle by our resistance to life. The more we resist what is, the more we struggle. And so letting go of struggle, letting go of the detachment, it allows us to enter into the flow of life. So we can continue to struggle, or we can move from a place of peace and surrender and flow. Either way we get there, but some ways we get there faster and quicker and easier and with a lot less drama. And I like that second way of like faster, easier, and a lot less drama. Most of you use too much energy and power to create small results. You can learn how to put out a small amount of energy and create big results. There's a proper amount of energy for creating whatever you want. Learn to sense how much energy it'll take to get what you want, then put out just that amount, no more. If magnetizing feels like a struggle, and if you're putting a tremendous energy or just a little for just a little or no result, you're putting too much magnetic intensity into it. So what it's saying is like this part is like you got to get the right flow with the magnetism too. If you're struggling, if it's too much an effort, something's not right. Maybe the thing you're magnetizing isn't right for you, and it's going to talk about that in a little bit. The higher path right here. If you have to apply too much power, if you're struggling, right, you're probably going against the current of your higher path. If you think something, if you think, if when you think of something, you can feel almost like you feel it coming, you're using just the right amount of energy. If you use too small of an amount, it's not going to come at all, or it's going to take a really long time. You can know if you're exerting too small of an amount of energy because what you want will seem very far away. It'll seem very distant into the future. It doesn't seem like it's a now deal, because the part of the magnetism that really is powerful um, is feeling as it is now, like bringing that quality of how would I feel as I have it now, as I'm doing it now, as I'm being it now. What is it in the now? Because we can create that essence, that feeling now, with or without it, because the mind has no idea of time really. um, so if it will seem like a wish more than a certainty. So the more we do it, the more we develop that faith, that certainty, that feeling of certainty of having it. And now this is a great thing too, is like expanding our energy field, expanding our consciousness, expanding what we think, like we said earlier today, like ask for even more than what you think you can have, basically. So harmonizing with greater energy, right? Before you attract something that has much larger energy than what you have now, learn to harmonize with its energy. For instance, if you want a sum of money that is much larger than what you have now, you'll want to be ready for it. Know in advance how you're going to store it, what you will use it for, how will help your life. You'll want to imagine how you feel when you have it and resolve any concerns you may have about receiving it. For example, like if you sit there and you say like, okay, I see myself with 50 million or whatever that is for you, and you feel that, energy, what concerns automatically pop up in your head? Oh, now you get, some people might be afraid they got to protect it. Some people might worry about paying taxes on it. Some people might, but all these, whatever fears or worries or whatever concerns there are, we resolve them ahead of time. We become a clearer channel to bring it into our life, because those very anxieties that we have over having the very thing that we're trying to manifest block the manifestation. Okay. So, so before you magnetize anything that's much larger than what you have now, play with wearing the energy of what you'll draw to you. And that's the thing. You can just wear the energy of it, right? Just like we talked about feeling the essence of something. Imagine that you already have it. Look at how your life is different because of it. You can learn to harmonize and become familiar with things before you have them. As you do, you'll become more magnetic to having them. One way to harmonize with something that is much larger than you have now is to expand what you've asked for. If you want a sum of money that's much larger than what you have, try wearing an even larger sum. Continue trying out increasing larger sums of money. You'll notice that as the amount increases, you may feel, the way you feel and think also changes. That you become a different person. It's like almost like you notice how you wear different clothes and how they make you feel different. You start thinking differently. If you ever get dressed up to go someplace, all of a sudden you walk with a different step. At least that's what happens to me. The more comfortable you feel with money or anything at an energy level before you magnetize it, the more easily it will come to you. Do these exercises as long as you find, now this is key too right here, right? You got to do this from a place of, that you enjoy it and it's interesting. Don't force yourself to do it because it's not going to work. You got to do these exercises, like it says, as long as you find them enjoyable and interesting. Magnetize what you want as frequently as you like for a few minutes or a half an hour. After you master one level of magnetism, you might still need to work a bit to produce results at the next level and to attract things that are hard for you to accept as possible into your life. And so that's what we say, start with what's simple, what's easy, and then gradually let the energy build. And then, if you look years down the road, you're like, wow, I remember there's a time where what I have now or what I've achieved now or what I'm wearing now, as far as energy wise, like was such a distant thought, a few years back or something like that. The energy and momentum will build, magnetizing what you want. Once you master creating a particular type of thing that you'll also usually need to do in the future, okay, once you master creating a particular type of thing, all of you will usually need to do in the future is to think of it. Okay, I think I mistyped this, but it's basically saying that once you think of something, once you get really good at master on the mastery level, there comes a time where you just think on to think of something, and it's done. You don't even have to go sit and go through the steps or anything like that. You get to a level where you think about something and boom, it shows up. And I've had some similar type of experiences at times, and the greater thing is like when you're in the flow, before you even think about it, the life has already answered your prayer. God, he said like that, before you have asked, I've already answered, and it just shows up before you even know you're ready for it. If you are able to manifest something easily and then the flow stops or begins to lessen, or attracting it requires too much work, it may be time to examine more carefully the path that you're on. Pay close attention to any whispers of a new direction that are emerging. So, like I said, if you get to a place where you're like forcing it, or it's too much of a struggle to just kind of get, to resonate with the energy or the magnetizing of what you're working with, it may not be the right thing for you. And then you may get to a point where you start magnetizing at a certain level. You get used to that. You get used to that, and then all of a sudden, then that whatever it is, that stops working. And when it does, it's time to pay attention and see what life is calling us to do. What's the next step? Are we going against, like it says, the current of our higher path? So it's good to have a check-in. So this is supposed to be like playful, easy, effortless, joyful. Those are all the things that really make this stuff work. So it's opposite. It's the antithesis of what we're usually thinking about in Western society in terms of work. We think about a struggle, about grinding, about busting our ass, all these terms, right? Um, and not in any ways putting down hard work and commitment and all that. All that stuff is great. But the thing is, when we're clear about what we're trying to manifest and we work with our energy and we work with magnetism, we can bring it about faster, easier, and simpler, rather than with all that struggle, all that effort, all that drama. You still got to put the effort in, no doubt. Nothing's just going to fall out the sky, you know, but things will line up much quicker and easier. So, any questions or anything? I'm going to take time to stop the recording. Hold on. It's still recording. Where's the damn recording? Oh, here it